The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. If it looks like 2021 or 2020, late 2020, don't adjust your set. It is actually 2023. This is a live show. Of course, I don't have the date, whatever today is. It's August 23rd, 2023. And but I'm home because I woke up this morning with a terrible sore throat. And in this day and age, if you can do stuff from home and not possibly infect other people, you got to be kind. You got to do that. So I'm home. I've got the old background. I probably should change it up so people don't automatically look at it and think, oh, this is a rerun. It's not a rerun, and it's a great show for a lot of different reasons. We have a jargon that we've never done before, although we should have. I don't know what I was thinking. And we've got two great guests that are going to be joining us in just a little while, Matt Asner and Nava Paskowitz Asner. And they are the amazing co-founders of the Ed Asner Family Center. They've got a big event that's coming up that I'm super excited about, and it just gets more and more exciting. They've got a concert that's happening on September 9th. I'm going to let them tell you all about it, but if you are at all in the Los Angeles area, you better get you some tickets before it sells out. And they're only a couple of weeks away, but it's a big night for a lot of different reasons and a lot of wonderful performers. I don't want to give it all away, but Ringo. We're talking about a Beatle on stage, and honestly, that's not the most exciting thing. So there you go. Like, how much more exciting does it have to get? And the proceeds go to the Ed Asner Family Center, which, if you've watched this show, you know that I totally love what they're doing. Oh my gosh, I love what they're doing on a daily basis. And then every time I think that they just can't get better, they do something and I go, all right, that's better. I cannot deny. So that's all coming up a little bit later on in the show. And we're going to do, as I said, a jargon that we've never done before. And I guarantee you, if you're like me, you're going to go, oh, that's one I should know. So anyway, we're live right now, and you can be writing in on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and saying hello. We are in a slightly different format, but I can still see your questions and comments if you guys write in. Our fabulous Traven is showing you right now on the screen some of the ways that you can be watching the show and some of the ways that you can be writing in. Don't forget, the show is available in a bunch of different formats now, not to be confusing, but to be however you want it to be. We want to meet you where you need to be to get the information that you want to get to. So you can watch us live and you can interact and you can ask questions of me and the many experts that we have on the show. You can absolutely do that. We're here usually live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and we usually have a pre-recorded thing on Thursday and a pre-recorded thing on Friday, although occasionally we break that up and we have live shows on Thursday and Friday, and occasionally we'll run a rerun on the other shows. Then the show is available on those platforms, right, that we're on for you to go back and watch the video according to the terms of that platform, because Facebook, they stay up a certain amount, and YouTube, they stay up forever. Then Traven cuts out highlights from the show on YouTube so that there are shorter videos on YouTube where you can just watch the guest if you don't want to watch the jargon, or you just want to watch the jargon, you don't have an hour maybe. So you can find the playlist of what it is that you like about the show and just watch that part, save yourself some time. However, many more of you prefer to
and just watch that part, save yourself some time.
I'm hearing it back in time.
Many more of you prefer.
I don't know what just happened, Traven. But many of you prefer to watch the show in podcast form. So if you would like to watch the show, listen to the show in podcast form. If you would prefer to listen to the show in podcast form, then we are available wherever you get your wherever you get your podcasts. We're a free download. We really love it when you guys participate and subscribe to the podcast. And I have to tell you that, in recent years, you can hear it in my throat a little bit. In recent years, we started doing more advertising on the podcast because we have to, because that's a reality. And if you listen to podcasts, it's a reality, right? And we hope that you'll join us in appreciating our sponsors, and just know that that's how we keep giving it to you for free, that you listen to those ads. Now, some of you have said, Shannon, but I'd rather pay you than have to listen to the ads. Well, we have that for you now too. If that's a preferred method for you, you can go to glow.fm/Autism Live. And if you go there, you can subscribe to Autism Live without the ads. It's an ad-free version of the show. It's just $5 a month. And if you want to pay for it for the whole year, it's actually cheaper, because they charge us every time they run your credit card. And so we pass that savings on to you. If you're willing to pay us, in advance, then we're not going to get charged all those 12 times that they swipe your card. So it's on the screen right now if you're watching live, glow.fm, F as in Frank, M as in Mary, /Autism Live. And we want you to check that out. Now, for those of you who are big Ask Dr. Doreen fans, and I know that you guys are out there, Dr. Doreen, her show has always been a part of the Autism Live podcast, but we really got to thinking about it and thinking that's not really fair, because there are people who just watch Ask Dr. Doreen, and we wanted to separate it out. So right now, if you subscribe to Autism Live, you're still getting Ask Dr. Doreen automatically, but that is about to sunset. In just a couple of weeks, we're going to turn that off, because right now, you can subscribe to Ask Dr. Doreen and you will get that feed. And if you're still subscribing to Autism Live, you'll get both of them. But very soon, if you don't subscribe to Ask Dr. Doreen, you won't get that feed anymore. You'll have to go over and get it from Ask. So do it now before it's too late, and so that you don't have to do something later on, and you'll appreciate that. And there's lots of fun new content and things that are happening as a result of that being its own podcast. In fact, very soon we're going to be running a contest for reviews on the Ask Dr. Doreen podcast. I'll let you know more about that as it comes up. Also, want to tell you that we have a very big event coming up ourselves very soon. You know that Dr. Grant Boucher founded Autism Care Today, and they are a wonderful national charity that gives out grants for things that people and families ask for. So over the years, maybe a family asks for an iPad, and they fill out a grant request for it. And if there is money, there's a grant committee that goes through. There's never enough money to give them all, but they will go through and they will pick recipients to get that product or that thing, Autism Care, funded up to $5,000 is what the grants are. And they fund iPads. They've funded biomedical treatment before in the past. They've funded diapers. They funded safety equipment. They funded fences, assistance dogs, computers. I mean, I can't even co-pays for insurance they've funded before. They love to do that. They've funded grants for skills and IBT before. So, and I'm sure I'm forgetting 25 other things. How about just camp and lessons? They fund those things too. So I really love that charity, and they are doing one of their big yearly fundraisers, which is the All Ghouls Gala. This is the second annual one. If you didn't go to the one last year, you missed it. So we have a save the date message that Traven, can we show that now? Is that a possibility? We didn't talk about that before, but I'd love to show the save the date, because it's October 28th. That'll be coming up. Okay, let me know when we're ready for that, Traven. October 28th, it'll be happening, and it's an adult Halloween party. There are no children. It is a party to raise money for kids, teens, and adults, but there are no kids and teens there. It is a 21 and over party, very much so. There is a lot of alcohol at the Just keeping it real here. The alcohol flows at this thing. It is a free bar. So the tickets are going on sale like sometime in the next week, and we expect it will sell out. It's happening in Woodland Hills, California. It is a costume suggested party that there is a costume contest, and there are amazing prizes for it. So and there are celebrities. I can tell you, we've already announced that Dr. Temple Grandin will be receiving awards. So she will be there. I still am dumbfounded by this because I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm going to a Halloween party with Dr. Temple Grandin. She asked, do I have to dress in costume? And I said, no, you get a pass. But everybody else, it's suggested. You don't have to, but it's more fun when you're in costume. It's a lot of fun, you guys. And but anyway, so she's just one of the honorees. Also being honored is Ariva Martin and Joe Mantegna. And then there's one more that we haven't released yet that we're waiting to hear back on that we'll let you know. But all of those people will be in attendance, and it should be a really good time. And you should be there too. So take a look at this save the date message.
Hey, it's Code Orange, babies. You know what that means? It's time to save the date for the second annual All Ghouls Gala. It's a ghoulishly good time. Adults only! Sorry, kiddies. It's all happening on October 28th in Woodland Hills, California. They're raising money for autism care today, so you'd better be there. I'd hate to have to come looking for you. Tickets go on sale in just a couple of weeks. You want to be watching, 'cause it will sell out.
I gotta say, I gotta brag a little. My talented son edited that, so shot and edited that. And we've been saying to people, write in if you think you know who the person in the clown mask is, because it's a regular here on the show. So write in and tell us. I might have to give a prize to whoever the first person is who guesses correctly. Anyway, very excited about that event coming up. So we're looking forward to it. We got to get to the jargon of the day because our guests are going to be here any second. So you guys know that at the start of the show, especially on Wednesdays, we like to do something we call the jargon of the day. It's when we take one word, one phrase, one acronym. We try to give you first a working the real definition. I make fun of that. Then we give you a working definition. We're not going to make fun of it at all today because it's so complex that I want to make sure that you guys understand this, because this is something that Dr. Grant Pichet talks about from time to time, but we've never done the jargon of the day. I just heard from Matt that it's just going to be Matt today. I'm bummed, but we'll have Matt. So, and I'm thrilled about that. Anyway, cognitive distortions. Let's take a look at what our actual definition is so that we can begin to understand what this is and how this might be affecting our lives and the people that we love, their lives. So cognitive distortions are internal mental filters or biases that increase our misery. They fuel our anxiety and make us feel bad about ourselves. What? Our brains are continually processing lots of information. To deal with this, our brains seek shortcuts to cut down on our mental burden. Sometimes these shortcuts are helpful, yet in other circumstances, such as with these unhelpful cognitive filters, they can cause more harm than good. And that is directly from Harvard Medical Publishing. So there are these things that are going on in our brain, these shortcuts that we want to make that cause us to connect things that don't have a connection. Dr. Grant Pichet was actually talking about this the other day, talking about, it was yesterday when she was talking about how somebody doesn't like blonde little girls. And she was saying it's possible that sometime one thing happened with a blonde little girl, and that inappropriately this young person's mind has assumed that, okay, all blonde little girls are scary or frightening or mean or harmful, and that is why he doesn't like them. So let's take a look at our next slide, where we're going to talk about all the different types of cognitive distortions to see if you maybe participate in any of these kinds of things. So our working definition is ways that we make things harder for ourselves. So for instance, all or nothing thinking, right? I either am a huge success and have millions of dollars, or I'm no success at all, right? I either can do this, fully, or I cannot do it at all. Somebody either loves me or they hate me, right? That's that all or nothing thinking. Jumping to conclusions, right? I certainly have been guilty of that before, where something happens and I go, oh, I think that means this, but it doesn't, right? Taking things personally when it isn't, I can watch something on television and see something and get really hepped up about it and start taking it personally when it really has nothing to do with me. Self-critical talk. If you've ever, I call it the yabba yabba that's in your head, and, you're trying to do something instead of a positive self-talk. There's that critical self-talk saying, you can't do it. You're not capable of doing this, right? Not helpful, increasing our misery. Do you see the theme there? Fortune telling, which is when you decide, things in the future that maybe have no bearing at all, but you're like, oh, well, if I do that, then this is going to happen. And there's nothing truly to say that that's real. Comparing. I think that this is a big one, especially for parents of individuals on the spectrum. We tend to compare a lot, don't we? Where we look at what, I'm going to talk to Matt about this in a second. I'm certainly guilty of all these things. But we often compare and look at, well, so-and-so has, certainly when my child was diagnosed, I would look at people who had money and what their kids could get. And I would be like, must be nice, right? Well, maybe their kid is doing better because they can afford X, Y, and Z, right? Or they can afford to go to that doctor. But then later on, it's all comparing about, well, my child can do this, their child can do that. It's not helpful, but we do it, right? How about overgeneralizing? That's what Dr. Grampiche was talking about yesterday. That, it's funny because when she was talking about it, I was thinking about Temple Grandin. And one of the things that Temple Grandin talks about is that horses have a strong visual memory. And so if a man in a hat hits a horse will be afraid of men in hats forever, all of them, not just the one that hit them. That's overgeneralizing, deciding, well, a blonde girl did this to me, therefore all blonde girls will do this to me, when in fact it was just the one blonde girl that did that. How about general negativity? I have certainly, and general negative thinking, I certainly have been guilty about that. Or how about magnifying or minimizing something that, sometimes I certainly am guilty of the magnifying thing. I can go to the grocery store and come home and tell the story of how harrowing it was, right? Because everything was huge. Somebody said this to me in the checkout and it was huge, right? Or, I think I'm also guilty of this. And I think maybe we all are a little bit guilty of minimizing of, something happens and we go, oh, okay, well, it's not that bad. When in fact, it probably is something that we need to be paying more attention to, right? Like you get a toothache or something and you're like, I'll go to the dentist when I need to, when really we need to be doing the self-care. So these are all cognitive distortions. And everybody participates in these, but sometimes it gets to a point where it's causing problems, right? And when I think about our kids on the spectrum, because this is a cognitive thing, there are ways out of this for all of us. And a lot of it is cognitive behavioral therapy to be able to reroute the thinking on all of this. It can be so much harder when it's our friends and our family members and our children and our teens and adults on the spectrum, because we need to give a little bit more support cognitively because they may not have the experience of life to be able to understand, well, this person who was mean to you, all people who have blonde hair are not going to be mean to you. And they don't have that experience in life. But sometimes it's because cognitively being able to understand, oh, this is my brain playing a trick on me. and it's not real. Sometimes cognitively, that is a hard concept for our kids. So it's important to be aware of all of these things in ourselves and to model that behavior in ourselves so that we can help our children, teens, and adults on the spectrum to help find their way out of the woods on these things as well. There we go. So here we go. I have seen that Matt Asner is here with us. You know what? He is one of my favorite people. His wife is too. And I'm sorry, I completely understand why Nava can't be here today because I know that they have a lot of stuff going on. But I love them both. And as I said earlier in the show, the things that they do over at the Ed Asner Center take my breath away. They are two of the hardest working people on the face of the planet. And they've got a lot going on right now. So they've got a really important event that we want to talk about. But we'll talk about all the things that are going on. So the fabulous Matt Asner is joining us right now. Matt, are you there?
I am. Hello, Shannon. How are you?
I am so glad.
It seems like it's been forever.
It has been forever. And you know what came up in my feed this morning was I don't know, 9 years ago today that you did the ALS water bucket challenge.
Oh my God. I don't even remember what I did. What did I? It was outside, right? I think
you were like in a swimming pool, yeah. and Eddie was there.
Isn't it?
It's what?
It's kind of a cowardly way of doing it.
No, it's a cleaner way of doing it. Nancy and I did it on
there's
a balcony.
A lot of cognitive distortion there.
Probably, I'm minimizing.
I think so.
Anyway, but it was amazing because your hair, you had all this, like you had an afro, and it was 9 years ago, and I was like, "Who is that? Is that Matt?"
That's when I used to have hair.
Well, and you had a lot of it. I don't remember you having like an afro. You had
it wasn't really an afro. I mean,
in the picture it looked like an afro. It was
morning bed head, and my morning bed head looks like an afro.
Well, you're like me. You have curly hair. If I let it go, I'm like I got a thing going on. But anyway, you're here this morning, and it's good to see you because I haven't seen you in a month of Sundays because you got a few things going on.
We do. And first of all, I want to say that Nava wanted to be here, but she can't be here. It's impossible for her to be here because she is literally heading the move to our new location. And that is taking up all of her time. And I haven't even seen her in like a long time. So no, I'm kidding. I have, but it's that she's that busy and it's kind of nutty.
Well, she's amazing. And I've said this about her several times since you guys announced that you were having to move. And it wasn't a thing where my understanding was it wasn't a thing where you chose to move, but you were in a situation where, you had to move, which always makes it harder because then you don't have as much time to plan. And I literally get sick to my stomach when I think about how much stuff you guys have to move. And then my next thought, which I have said to people everywhere, I'm like, but if anybody can do it, it's Nava. She is like a drill sergeant with the moving thing. I've watched you guys move more times than anybody should ever have to move, whether it was you personally or your center. And the woman should write a book and have support videos about how to move. She's really good at it.
It's incredible. I mean, she's
epic.
Superhuman in that way, which is great because I'm not.
I don't know. Me neither.
I'm a turtle when it comes to moving.
Well, I have the attention span of like 3 less than cottage cheese, and moving requires forward movement and laser focus. And I'm impressed whenever I've seen her move. She's amazing, but it's still exhausting.
It is. And the difficult thing I think, about this is that we've got to continue doing a bunch of stuff while we move because the center is a business and we're running a business and it's there's a lot of stuff, a lot of machinery that happens. And
you just finished Camp Ed like 2 weeks ago, and which would have been the last time I saw you guys. And you're moving. You got to be moved by the 1st, and on the 9th you're having this ginormous event, which we're about to talk about. So when I saw that timeline, I went, "Oh, okay."
It always happens that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And then we also have the academy starting again in late September.
Yes, so and I want to talk about that too. So
you're preparing for that too.
Yeah, she's getting all unpacked for that. Okay, so let's start with September 9th. Tell us everything that's happening so that we can discuss it all. And we do have a poster that we're going to show too that you sent us. But talk to us.
First of all, it's my birthday. No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, but that is true, and it's a big birthday.
True, but it's not my birthday. The important thing is we're doing this incredible concert.
Yeah.
And I have to thank Steve Lukather, who the guitarist for Toto, for the unbelievable lifting that he did in terms of stocking this with unbelievable talent, because this is an eclectic music lover's fantasy.
Sure is. Yeah.
It is on September 9th at the Orpheum Theater, and we have Ringo Starr, Toto, Joe Bonamassa, Colin Hay, Stone Temple Pilots, and Hoobastank, all on one stage. We're probably going to announce a host the next couple of days.
Wow.
At least I hope we are. And it's going to be a night to remember. It really is. And not only that, we'll have representation from the community up on the stage as well.
Yes.
Chris Tenney will be opening our set, our evening, with a little stand-up. Chris Tenney is one of the funniest people in the world. He is on the spectrum, and he's actually a client of the center. And he's a wonderful guy. He'll be making everyone laugh before we rock out.
Yes.
And then we have Logan Shepherd is going to be doing an incredibly difficult song with Toto. That's all I'm going to say about it. But he's going to show everyone what it is to be a drummer, the definition of drumming.
Well, he's got chops. We love both of those people. For those of you who watch the show regularly and watch Stories from the Spectrum, you've seen Chris Tenney. He's the one who on Stories from the Spectrum. He did the car show for us, and he did another video for us. We love him. He's we got to see his actor reel. That was the other thing that he did for Stories from the Spectrum. And then, of course, if you watch the show, Logan Shepherd, because it was Logan's parents who introduced me to Dr. Doreen Granpeesheh, which is, how our story began. Because if I had not met Logan Shepherd, I would not be sitting here today.
I vaguely knew that story. I didn't know that was true, but that's incredible.
Closet World sent me to their house the morning after I had been up all night praying, saying, please show me what to do, because I don't know what to do. The very next place that Closet World sent me was to the Shepherd's house. And Peter Shepherd, Logan's dad, if anybody knows him, is one of the most happy, nice, he's very particular about Logan, but he is an upbeat person. And he just kept asking me questions until I yelled at him, and he was asking me do I have kids and whatever. And I yelled at him and said, I have a kid on the spectrum. You wouldn't understand. And then he said, I'm going to introduce you to my kid, and I'm going to help you to figure this out. And I met Logan, and I went, whatever you people are doing, I want to do exactly what you're doing. And that, yeah. And Logan, if you had to follow in somebody's snowshoes, I couldn't have picked better snowshoes. Logan Shepherd is amazing, and he's talented and touring as a drummer, and the sweetest, nicest young man.
And he looks cool.
Well, he's a rock star. Of course he looks cool. That's required, right? So anyway, we're so over the moon excited about this. And, Dr. Autism Network and Dr. Granpeesheh and Ask Dr. Doreen are actually one of the sponsors. That's right. That's how excited we are.
Have you as sponsors?
Well,
can't thank you enough.
We are disgustingly excited.
It's going to be an amazing show.
We're really, really excited. So it's on September 9th. You still have tickets, but you've got to be close to being selling out. So people have got to get their tickets now.
We're getting there. We're a little over 2 weeks away, and you can still buy tickets at Ticketmaster.com.
Okay.
I suggest you do it soon if you're going to do it.
Okay.
And it is a benefit. So the tickets are, priced a little higher than most shows. Although when I don't think so. When I did look at this, I said, when we were kind of trying to decide what the prices were going to be, we looked at shows in the area for different artists who were actually, some of them who were actually playing around the area or had played around the area. And we came in just under that. So we wanted to be competitive or comparable to what was the norm out there.
Yeah, so, I think it's very reasonable for what shows are. I have to be honest. I do. I think, and Traven is letting us know that the link to go to buy the tickets is in the description of the video. So if you're watching, go down to the description and it's right there. You can find it, which is great. Thank you, Traven, for that. But so amazing. I certainly hope there's a cake situation. Matt.
I have no idea. I'm not. Not if I'm involved.
Okay. All right. Well,
so it has nothing to do with me. I won't be doing anything about a cake that night. The only thing I'll do is maybe blow out a candle or two.
Okay. All right. But it's a pretty impressive event. I mean, you had me at Ringo. I keep saying to people, there's a Beatle.
Well, that's the thing. I'm turning 60.
Yeah.
And which is amazing to me, actually.
Yes.
And I have never seen a Beatle live. Never. Not one of them. And so this is the way to do it, I think.
Yeah, throw a concert that's a benefit for your charity.
Beatle play it. I'm excited. And once again, I've got to thank Steve Lukather for, he's been such an incredible mensch through this whole thing.
I love that.
We met through, I don't know how we met, actually. We met somehow in the community. Someone introduced us, said, "Oh, you guys got to know each other."
Yeah.
We instantly hit it off. You've met him, I think, Shannon.
Yes. And I don't know if you know this, but my husband went to high school with him.
That's right. That's right. And he's super guy. He's just very approachable.
Yes.
And before the pandemic, I said to him, I really want to do a concert, Steve. I really, really want to do a concert because, we have this opportunity. I think we should do it and we can work on it together. And it's like, oh, that's a great idea. That's, maybe someday. And then the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
And we got through the pandemic. His son, started really coming to the center quite a bit and taking, some of the classes and getting immersed in what we do there. Which is a good thing for Steve to kind of have seen that. Yes. It was important for him to see it. So when the pandemic ended, I came up to him again. We had lunch at our favorite spot, Arts Deli. And I said, Steve, it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
So Steve said, yes, you're right. It's time. Let's do it.
But not only that, it sounds like he menched it up.
He did mench it up. He did mench it up. And he's been incredibly easy to deal with, and he cares deeply about what's going on, and he wants it to be a success. So he's been just a wonderful person to work with. And his team, and
he's talented too. I mean, hello,
incredibly talented. And here's the thing about Steve Lukather. It's like if Toto was the only thing that he was known for, or that he had done, it would be like, oh wow, Toto, that's great, it's amazing, and they're on the bill.
Yeah.
But listen, Steve Lukather. If you go back and listen to pretty much any 80s song, or maybe even early 90s, songs, Steve Lukather is probably playing guitar on that song.
There you go.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. He's this incredible talent and
love it.
Very humble guy. And I'm glad that we're working on this together.
I said earlier, every time I think, I'm just so amazed by the things that you guys do, because you walk your talk and you don't stop. And I know that that's really hard on both of you. I worry about both of you because I know you're working like just dogs to be able to help the community. And every time I go, I just couldn't be more proud of you guys. And then I turn around and you guys do something else and I go, well, there it is. It's just that much better. So, much appreciation from all of us in the community that you guys just keep putting stuff out there. It's really, I'm proud to know you. But again, we're saying that the bands Ubastank, Stone Temple Pilots, Toto, Ringo, Colin Hay, Joe Bonamassa, and you're getting that extra added value that you get to see two young performers that are on the spectrum that are really killing it.
Yep.
Chris Tenney and the fabulous Logan Shepherd. And I'm telling you, I've seen both of these people perform before. They'll take you to church. It's serious business. So I love that. And I love that that they are included, because I think that that's a beautiful statement. Honestly, Matt, thank you so much. That's happening at the Orpheum Theater. That's on September 9th. You can get your tickets from Ticketmaster, or you can click the link that's in the description, but you better hurry, because it is going to sell out. And then I'm not going to be able to help you, and you're going to be sad about it. So you should be there. And you guys always have wonderful events. You never do an event that is, have I had you on since the poker tournament?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Been running around like crazy. So I don't think I haven't done much stuff.
The poker tournament was amazing, and even made more so by the fact that my nephew won the whole thing.
That was incredible.
That was beyond craziness, because, I'm usually there on the red carpet, and as I interview people, we chatter and whatever. And instead of saying, "What are you wearing?" I often say to them, "So are you going to win?" And of course, most of them say, "Oh no, I'm going to win. I got that feeling today. I've got this. I totally have it." And, only one person wins. And it's always fascinating to see who wins. And of course, my nephew, this was his first time coming. Every time you've had it, I've said to him, "You should come, you should come, you should come." Because he loves poker, and they've supported you guys before in different ways. But I've always said, "You should come, you should come." And so he finally came, and he was like, "No, I've got this." And I think nobody was more surprised than he was when he won. So extra fun. But it was a lovely event, and you guys always do it right. It's always a good time when you guys do something. Always.
Thank you.
So, but we also want to talk about some of the other things that you guys have going on. You are in the process of moving, as we said earlier, but all I've heard is excitement about the new location. Are you guys super thrilled?
Yeah, we found an incredible space. We really love the people that we're, dealing with in terms of landlord situation. They're great people. That's important, by the way.
It is.
Anyone out there who's like looking for a place and looking for a place to lease, really know your landlord, because it's and I'm not saying I really know them, but our interactions have been really good, and I feel good about it.
Love that.
And
I want that for you.
They've been very good to deal with. So it's been a great situation for us, and we've been able to kind of transition from the horror of really kind of not knowing where we're going to be, and that's a really awful feeling, to the relative security of knowing where you're going to be, at least for the next 4 years. So
amazing. I can't wait to see it. I'm excited. We've driven by. And once we drove by, I mean, it's a pretty, famous location. I mean, it is a
little famous. I mean, it's kind of confusing though, as you're driving by, you're like, well, this is a very industrial area, but it's not. It's like you walk. We're in a compound, so you drive in, and it's very safe and very, it's going to be a very safe and comfortable experience for anyone who comes to the center.
And you're certainly going to have more parking when you have events at night, which is a really cool thing.
We have parking in front of our space, and we also have a huge subterranean garage that's not very far, like a stone's throw away from our place.
Okay, so
on the campus.
So you guys are hoping to be in there all the way on September 1st?
Now I am told.
Okay.
I am told we will be in there on the 31st of August.
Okay.
So you know how things go.
And did this come from General Paskowitz Asner?
No, this comes from general landlord.
Oh, okay.
So I think we have the movers set for the 31st of August, and we're going to be so Nava's literally getting everything together now.
Yes.
So we can actually make that move.
Okay. Well, I know I have said to her that we will be happy to help. Then, of course, we just came back and I have a sore throat, and I'm not coming near you until I don't have a sore throat. But we would love to help and lift and tote the bail. But that's not, that would be enough for anybody. Like, it's crazy to me that you are moving and doing this concert, but that isn't all that's happening. You mentioned the new academy. So talk to our folks about what that is.
Well, even though I'm not the best person to talk about this, I will say that this incredible program that NAVA has put together,
yes,
is an arts-based and employment, training-based program that is a daily program at the center that revolves around arts and relationship building, and employment training, life readiness. And we had our first session between September and January, or is that right? No, we started in January. I think we started in January.
Yeah.
So the first session was in January to May, I believe. And then this is the second session. And the great thing about this is, and you're going to have Nava on to really kind of get into the nitty gritty. But one of the things that I'm most excited about, I can talk about what I'm most excited about.
Okay, let's do
is the fact that we're going to be there. Our participants are going to be interns at specific jobs around the city. So they'll be getting real job experience at corporations like, and I can announce this, I guess, Funco. We're going to be working with Funco. And they'll be working at Funco.
Love it.
And there are others in the pipeline that will be coming through as well.
Put Autism Network on the list. We'd love an intern.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah.
All right. So we'll talk about that.
Okay. Well, I love this. I look at you guys and I really think, I don't think I know that you're both visionaries, that you guys I don't know whether you, because I didn't know you for very long before you were together with Nava, but I think there's something about the two of you together that I remember for years. You guys were talking about this center, that what you wanted to do and how important it was that you wanted a mental health component, and that it needed to be, you had a very clear vision of what it was that you wanted to be, and it wasn't something that existed. And a lot of people have vision. I mean, I think of things that but the ability to make it happen is a rare thing. And I love to watch you guys, visualize something and make it happen. And I remember when Nava started talking about this, and she was talking about a day program in the beginning, but I loved to watch her go, well, I want it to be this day program, and how it got more and more specific. And so that now it is so specific that it warrants the name an academy, because it is an educational thing that is propelling people to a more independent life.
Well, I think, and I'm not going to pretend to have any of the vision here for programs, because I think Nava is, the driving force here for the programs. And she, we looked at each other and said, let's do things that no one else is doing. Let's do things, So, we heard a lot of people talk about, and when we say day program, it's not a day program. It's not a day program. It's a place where people can come and really get stimulated. And that's the thing. We wanted a place that was going to stimulate them and let them grow in life so they could do other things. So that's the important thing. We want them to not, be there.
Yeah. To outgrow it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's the key. The key is to get them, comfortable with people and self-confident in what they can do as employees and as people in life, because, they have everything. All they need to do is unlock that potential.
Well, we all talk about the cliff, right? That there's a certain amount of educational opportunity that's available depending on your state up till the 21st birthday or your 22nd birthday. Right? But then there's the cliff, and it's like and Temple Grandin talks about this all the time, that they graduate to the living room couch and play video games, or graduate to the living room couch and just vegetate, right?
It's crazy.
It is crazy. And we know lots of families out there that are saying, I don't know what to do next. I don't know. And there, there are a couple of programs, but let's be honest that those programs tend to cater to either the people who are the most affected or the people that are the least affected.
Right.
And there's this huge highway in between of people who are very, very, very capable and who want to work and want to learn. And the programs have not been there. But this academy is filling that gap. Now, it is for people who are in Los Angeles, but is there ever a plan to maybe franchise out?
Well, I mean, I think the initial idea of the Ed Asner Family Center was to spread out and have satellite offices, not franchises, but satellite offices throughout the country. Start slow, 1, 2, 3, probably over a 5-year period. But then the pandemic happened, and I think kind of shot those plans down pretty heavily.
Yeah.
But now that we're kind of getting out of that, I think that we're going to start kind of looking at that again. I mean, it's interesting because I think the pandemic was kind of necessary for our growth.
Yeah. Well, you guys did more things.
Pandemic, but yeah, it was positive for our growth. I think we learned a lot about who we were as an organization, and what we wanted to do, and how we wanted to effectuate the types of services that we had in the community. So I think a lot of that changed because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So,
but only because you guys didn't roll over and play dead.
No, we didn't.
You stepped up and said, what can we be doing right now for our community? And you had live free classes every day of the week.
Yes, we did.
No one else did that, Matt. No one else did that.
For 2 years, I think.
I mean, 2 years.
And some of those programs are still going on. We still have movie chat and that your son Jen works on.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 or 2 other things, but and we'll most likely start that again at some point, so that there's some free stuff going on online. There is talk of doing something with the dating spectrum online for people who aren't in California, but we'll definitely be an online presence forever.
Yes. And you also started a yearly gala that I don't think you're going to be able to ever stop, that happens online, because it's so beloved now. I don't know that anybody ever wants you to do it in person anymore. Of course, I'm talking about the It's a Wonderful Life gala.
Yeah. Now, look, I don't know if we're going to do that this year.
Ooh.
I'm still working it out, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but
that's fair.
If not, I'll hopefully have something like it or interestingly similar. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know as soon as it's been we've been back and forth a few times, and they're but hopefully we'll be able. I know they want us to do it, but it's just whether or not it has to fit into their bigger plans.
Yes.
And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the people who basically own the story, and who are amazing people, and they've been so wonderful to work with. But they have some plans that might not work with what's going on, and so we have to figure that out. Hopefully we can figure it out soon, and if we can do it, I have my list of Georges.
I'll bet you do. I know I put in a request last year and said your George and Mary should be.
Remind me who you wanted.
Tom Hanks. Stop with Tom Hanks and Rita, his wife, need to do George and Mary. Like, you're missing the boat if you don't act. Like, I don't know. Like, right? Is that not the logical next choice? You've had some pretty amazing.
A good one.
It's a good one.
Not the one I was thinking of, but okay.
Well, can you tell me who you were thinking? Okay. Tom Hanks. Okay.
No, I'm not saying I'm not. It's a good one. He's on,
okay.
and I'm putting him on my list because you're right. It's a good one.
All right, because that's a very good one. But you can't tell us who you were thinking. I don't want to pressure
not
you.
yet, not yet.
Okay,
If we get him, it'll be a coup, and that'll be an awesome thing.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, I've loved everybody you've had. I mean, and everybody has brought something completely different to it.
Well, I hope we get to do it again because, I certainly don't want to stop doing it yet because I think it still has legs, and I think it's something that, the core of people that, 3,000 or so people that, kind of regularly tune in and watch this, I think they want to watch it.
Yeah.
So that's a good base number there. So I'm hoping that, we can fulfill their dreams and we can get it going.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. But first up is this move. You got to get through you got to survive the move.
That's the move, then the concert, and then we'll see what's going on.
And then now, in addition to the academy, will there be fall classes or not?
There will be fall classes. I don't know the schedule of those classes yet, but I know we're going to do the dating spectrum. Where will they go?
Where would they go to find out more information? Where on the website?
Go to our website and make sure to sign up for our newsletter, which we do once a month. We decided to do a newsletter about a year ago, and we actually have put one out every month.
That's amazing.
Which is pretty amazing.
It's hard.
You know how that is.
Hard. I do. I haven't put one out in a while, and I promised that I would put one out this month, and I haven't got that together yet. So no, I know it's hard. But there it is on the screen if you're watching live, teafc.org. You can go there and click around and find all the information about the concert, about the classes, about the academy. You'll even probably see the new address of where the center is, because everybody will have to reconfigure their ways or whatever you use to get around to be able to find it.
Yes, there'll be some bumps in the road, I'm sure, because I remember when we moved into the Lindley address, people we had a mail drop before that.
Yes.
We didn't have a physical address really yet, and we were like going from place to place. And
I think I had a pizza delivered to the mail drop once that I was sending to my son.
I had people like meetings with people, and I'm here on Ventura Boulevard. I don't see anything that looks like. I'm like, oh no, let's do this another time.
It takes a minute. It's so funny when you already have a business and you're moving addresses, it takes forever to get like on Google and all the different search engines to have them change it. But I'll tell you the secret, if you order new business cards, they will start, every service in the world will hound you saying, don't you want your address isn't on Google, and they will hound you until you change it.
Oh, really?
Yes. So order yourself some new business cards, like from Vistaprint or something, and then all these things will send you stuff, pens and everything under the sun. It's interesting. And they will call you until you threaten them with all kinds of horrible things for them to stop calling you. And Vistaprint says that they do not give your information out. I just want to be clear. I've spoken to them. They say that it is not them. It must be some sort
magically happen.
It's just a coincidence. It's just a coincidence. It's probably something else that I did it's that cognitive distortion that I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Call it osmosis.
Right.
Osmosis.
Right.
So do we have a little bit of time?
We have a little bit of time. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I know you're a movie buff.
Yes.
So, and I saw that you took, and you watched Barbie.
Eviscerated Oppenheimer. Is
you did. And I want to talk about that a little bit because
let's do it.
I'm such a huge fan of that movie. And I
this
really
does not surprise me.
First of all, I interviewed like 20 of the physicists that worked with Oppenheimer for a movie that I did in 95.
Wow.
And so it was something that I really was looking forward to. And I really wanted to see how they handled him as a character, because he's a complex character. He's really complex. And I thought they were very true to who he was. Good or bad, I think they were true to who he was. And I think there are some things that we have to do without the eyes of 2023.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of people who are upset that, it wasn't more of an inclusive film. And, some arguments on that, but I don't think it could be.
And I'm going to disagree with you on that, but
Okay.
I respect you. And here's my thing, because I had this, what was the Scorsese film that was out a few years ago that was with Robert De Niro, and he played a guy who,
every Scorsese film.
I know, but I felt the same thing, and it was set mostly in the 50s and the 60s,
Right.
and I felt the same way about that film that I feel about this film. Look, you're telling a story about a physicist over a period of years from the 30s through the 60s, right? Yeah. And that's fine. The story is Oppenheimer, not Oppenheimer and the women who surrounded him. Mm-hmm. I'm not asking, I'm just saying, here's my example, Matt. If I were to make a film right now and set it in 1953, and the only time that you ever saw men in the film, and it could be about somebody who runs a beauty parlor, but if I completely kept men out of it, and the only time you saw a man is if he was a waiter and he was naked, people would lose their minds and say, what point is she making here? What is it that she's saying? Now, I'm not saying that women needed to, to be that much bigger of a part of the film, but I am saying that the way that women were portrayed in the film, and so sparsely in the film, is not historically accurate.
I agree with that, actually. I do agree with you. I think women had a huge part in the Manhattan Project. Huge.
Yes.
Huge. They were there. They contributed. They were a community that worked together. And I honestly saw that in the film.
There was one line where the woman was dismissed. And that was the only time I saw a woman doing anything other than, like, there was a scene in his classroom where there were women sitting in the classroom. But once we got to the Manhattan Project, there was one line with one woman, and the line was her being dismissed. Huh. And that is all that I saw. I also, they did a lot of coverage, big camera coverage of showing Los Alamos. And the only time we saw women were at cocktail parties, or that they were not being able to take care of their children, or they were hysterical and naked. That's all. That's the only time we saw women in the film, and the one physicist who was dismissed. But we also, when we were at Los Alamos, did not see a single person of color. Now, historically,
I do think you're right. I do think you're right. And I do think that was, now look, this is 1945.
Yes.
And this is before I would say Rosie the Riveter was happening as this film was happening. Yes. So women were just beginning to find a foothold in society in a professional way. And
that's the story we're told. But what was your grandmother doing?
My grandmother was a housewife.
Okay, so she was home and taking care of her children and not screaming and hysterical because her man wasn't there to help her take care of the child. And did the children have to be removed from the house because she was hysterical? And
no. But look, I mean, some of that, you're talking about the wife of Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
And some of that was documented and true.
But it's storytelling. It's what do you choose to focus on? Because it's also true that she said a lot of things to him about what he was doing, and that choice was not covered at all.
Yeah.
So, and there were lots of disagreements that they had about his affairs, and that was alluded to, not really covered at all.
Right.
That she was a very intelligent woman and aware of what he was doing,
and supporting him. They did out him in a hearing.
Yes.
affair. So that's true.
Yes, and it's widely reported that he was a womanizer. Like
Yeah.
that's historically accurate.
Yeah.
But the way I objected to the way the story was chosen to be told and the way that women were depicted. And that was a choice. Now
Right.
it is a choice. But what I felt like is that when he was, if you go look up Oppenheimer right now and you ask for images, you will see a series of black and white photos. And it's only men.
Yeah.
Because those were the only people that in 53 that they chose to take pictures of. But if you go to the actual history, there
Right.
were women there and there were people of color that were there. Now, we could certainly make the argument that there weren't people who were of Asian heritage in Los Alamos. We certainly could talk about that and it would be historically correct. But the fact that there were women working, not just housewives who couldn't take care of their children, and there were
people working on the Manhattan Project. There were women working on the Manhattan.
Yes, and they weren't being dismissed.
Yeah.
So that's what but that wasn't my biggest gripe. It was just my undergripe. My biggest gripe was the sound.
Really? I thought they did a good job. I don't know.
You saw it in a movie theater?
But I think he's a polarizing figure. Number one, he's a polarizing figure, and I think they treated him in a way where I think.
Are we talking about Oppenheimer or Christopher Nolan?
Oppenheimer,
because he's a polarizing factor now too.
Nolan's polarizing too, but I think they, from my viewpoint, they did a great job at showing this man that that was responsible for something that polarized society.
Yeah, and that part of the film I liked. I loved the ending.
Oh, I got very emotional at the ending.
I got very emotional at the ending too.
Very amazing ending.
And I loved the storytelling of how the ending was the button. That's like really, because I always say, can you land the plane? You did a good story, but can you land the plane? And it was a perfect ending.
And the ending was basically the through line for the whole film. I mean,
it was like a surprise. You didn't know. And it was the whole thing.
And that's true though. That's a true story. That is true.
And so I love that.
And the meeting with Truman after the bomb was dropped, it was true that happened. So and by the way, I did not know that was Gary Oldman. I did not.
Really?
No.
Well, I loved all that, and I thought there was some brilliant acting in it. And I love Christopher Nolan. And I've been a big fan of his and have rooted for his films in the past and was very excited about this film because I've had this fascination with the Manhattan Project my whole life and about exactly what this movie was going to be about. How do you get a group of people together and get them jazzed to say, we're going to destroy possibly the world?
Yeah.
Like they didn't know that they weren't going to destroy the world. So I was so stoked about this movie and I was not stoked about Barbie at all. I was like, oh, pew. Did not want to see Barbie, but really wanted to see Oppenheimer. So I was so disappointed that I didn't love it. And I really feel that, and I've said it many times, that I think that Christopher Nolan is a great storyteller. And I would have liked to have seen this movie if I feel like he was compensating for the fact that he never gets an Oscar nomination and that somebody said to him, in order to get an Oscar nom, you're going to have to do this film and you're going to have to include these 5 things in it and then you'll get an Oscar nom. And that he kowtowed to that and that the storytelling suffered. This could have been a brilliant film if he had not relied so heavily on sound to assault us. And if he had allowed us to hear the dialogue that had been written that was important, but no.
I'm going to tell you, I didn't have a problem with the sound. I did think it was a brilliant film, and I'll say this last little bit here. Edward Teller, I thought they handled very well.
Okay, which one is Edward Teller?
He was the main nemesis for him. He was.
Right, Robert Downey Jr.
No, not Robert Downey Jr. The one that was working on the hydrogen bomb.
Okay.
And so the physicist that was working on the hydrogen bomb.
Yes.
So I knew a lot about him because he was a big part of the movie that I did. And
I didn't know much about
it. And I interviewed Teller. And Teller, famously went after him, and kind of outed him as a communist pretty much, you know, after the fact. So he was he's an interesting figure.
I'll bet. What is the film that you worked on? Because now I want to go watch that.
The film that I did was called Hiroshima in 1990.
And it's a doc, or is it a feature?
It was a mini series for Showtime.
Okay, now I probably watched that, and I just don't remember.
4-hour miniseries in 1995.
All right, well, let's all go watch that.
And I don't think it's available on streaming. I think you have to order a DVD if you want it.
All right, well, I might just do that. So there. And so did you see Barbie, since we can't talk about one without the other?
I did. I was kind of mixed about it. I thought, you know, it was a fun movie, good movie, great performances. Margot Robbie's amazing.
Yeah.
But
although I think miscast.
Oh, I don't know. I think she's I don't know. I think she's great. I think
she was great, but I you know, originally the film was supposed to be done with Amy Schumer, and it would have been a different film.
Well, that would have been a very different film.
Yeah.
I think that Margot Robbie really did a great job.
I do too.
And I thought all the cast. I think Ryan Gosling did a great job.
Yep.
Michael Cera was great.
Oh yeah.
The only person I didn't think did great was Will Ferrell. I thought he kind of phoned it in, and you know, was
I would agree.
Will Ferrell playing Will Ferrell, and
yeah,
it's like, I think it would have been more interesting. But I really thought it was a fun movie, but it wasn't groundbreaking or shattering. But
well, I loved the first hour, and then it lost it for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were very excited by it, and you know, I think that and politically motivated and politically charged because of the women's rights aspect of what it was, and
just odd.
And I think we can do better than that, right?
I totally. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, if we have
can
to get excited,
better movies about women's rights than that.
Yes,
I think.
Yes, I agree. Although I love the America Ferrara speech.
She was great.
That was amazing.
She was probably my favorite performance of the whole piece.
And that speech, I just felt like there were too many hands in the pie at the end, and that the ending didn't know what it wanted to be, and it all fell to poo for me. And I hated the ending. As much as I loved the ending of Oppenheimer, and I went, that is how you end a movie.
Yeah.
Barbie did the exact opposite and threw it away with a joke that I thought did not empower women at all.
Yeah.
I was disappointed by that.
You know, ending a movie is very hard.
It is. You got to hit that button just right. And you got to be thinking about that in the first moment.
Correct.
And it isn't easy to do. And I can love a movie and hate the ending, and I can hate a movie and love the ending. So there we are. Perfect example, these two movies. Have you seen anything else? We're out of time, but have you seen anything else that I should be watching?
Nav and I are scary movie fans, so we've seen a bunch of the scary movies that have come out. You know, like what was it? I'm trying to remember the one we last saw. I can't remember it. But
did you watch Hijack?
That good. Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was
good. That. Idris Elba. Anything with Idris Elba is going to have Matt and Nava sitting and watching it for different reasons.
And the other one that we just reviewed that I loved, that I don't know if you've seen, is Somewhere in Queens.
Have not seen that. No.
I gotta say, that's another George choice, is Ray Romano.
We're watching something now that is really, really good.
What's that?
It's called it's with Sigourney Weaver. It's Australian. It's The Heart of Alice. The Something of Alice Hart.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
Alice Hart is in the title.
Okay. With Sigourney Weaver.
It's extremely good.
Okay. And it's a series?
Yeah, it's like a mini series. It's very good.
All right. Well, I would love to hear your opinion of Somewhere in Queens. It's Ray Romano's first time directing.
I will check it out.
And
we will confer notes.
I would love that. All right. Well, I wish you luck in the move. And as long as we're healthy, we would love to be there and help. And I'm really excited about this concert, Matt, and so excited. You're walking your talk, and getting it done always. Will you please give my love to your beautiful better half, and tell her that we bow down to her moving skills.
I will. And
all right.
And she's sorry that she wasn't here. She sends her love.
I understand completely. But we're going to say goodbye, so you can go join her in the fray. And I'm going to tell all of our viewers that we are back with Stories from the Spectrum tomorrow. And I don't know what we're playing something on Friday, but I don't know what it is. But we're back with Parent to Parent on Monday. So I will talk to you guys more about that when that happens. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
And one for me.
Yes. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.